So before we found Arbor Health, my oldest son, Asher, when he was 2, he was a preemie baby. And so he had global developmental delays. When he was 2, he was really not hitting any of his milestones, and some of his healthcare providers and therapists suggested that he was autistic. He had a lot of sensory issues, he was speech delayed, he didn't make any eye contact. So our experience with other doctors before Arbor Health was exactly what you would expect of mainstream medicine. We were told that our son was autistic, and that was that. There weren't any options or any other alternatives to that storyline for him. Whereas Arbor Health really gave us hope that it was something that we could help heal him from. What made me say yes to working with Arbor Health was just the hope that I had heard from other parents that had worked with them. Just thinking outside the box and doing things a little bit differently, but seeing results. So that hope, the chance that, my kids could have that as well, is what made me start to work with them. Our story is a little unique in that I have 2 little boys that are on the spectrum. So my next child, Duke, is pretty severely on the spectrum. And I knew the second that I started seeing signs that he was having struggles and was a little bit different, that we were going to be working with Arbor Health for him too. If there was anything that might have made me hesitant in getting started with Arbor Health, I would say cost was definitely a factor. It's not something that insurance covers. But in addition to that, I think just the skepticism from the mainstream medical community. In a way, I did have to take a leap of faith, and I'm glad that I did. I absolutely feel it was worth the cost. I look at my children and the way that our life is now, the quality of our life now, and I know that it wouldn't be the same if we hadn't worked with Arbor Health. My son Duke is not the easiest case in the world, and Arbor team has really helped us through the process by not giving up until we find answers for him, until we find things that work. When you're working with the things that they work with, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and they understand that. It's not, that's the biggest difference between mainstream medicine and Arbor Health, is that there's so many different ways to fix those problems, and it's really individualized. What surprised me most about Arbor Health is the results that we've seen and how much it truly has changed our quality of life and my ability to enjoy being around my children. The best part about my experience with Arbor Health is getting to see how much progress my kids have made. It truly is remarkable. They're not the same kids that I brought in a couple years ago, but the team at Arbor Health has believed in them from day one, so I really appreciate that. My son Asher, before we started working with Arbor Health, he couldn't maintain eye contact. He couldn't use language. He didn't really have any functional speech, so he couldn't have a conversation with you. He had a lot of sensory issues. He got very easily overwhelmed. And now he just went into 1st grade and he's thriving. He talks my ear off all day long. He just loves interacting with people. This is a kid that for a while, he was just in his own world, and now he's just, you would have never known that everybody said that he was autistic and that, that was going to be our life. I had one provider tell me all the things that he might never do. I want to march him in there today and just show him, look at him now. My son Duke, before we started working with Arbor Health, he had severe oral sensory issues. He was not communicating, not making eye contact. When we first started working with Arbor Health, it was like Duke was in his own world. And since working with them, it's like he's a part of ours now.